back for a moment and think of the people who have hurt you, lied to you, or betrayed you. Maybe not many, maybe just a few, but think about it. Now, ask yourself, why did that happen? Was it your fault or theirs? Let's pause on that question for a bit, because sometimes if the tables were turned, maybe you'd see things differently. To truly understand this, you need to understand how humans think, act, and behave. And mastering this skill can make you unstoppable. That brings us to the book recommendation of this week, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Now, this book doesn't just help you analyze others, it helps you understand yourself. You start to see your own reflection in its pages. I mean, your strengths, your weaknesses, your darker sides, and your light. Let's dive deep. I'll be sharing 5 powerful lessons I learned from the book, The Laws of Human Nature. Before I start, let me share this. Some people don't like Robert Greene as an author, right? Because they feel his books are manipulative and all. Well, trust me, you need to read this book because it's a book that can actually save many people. This book can save relationships, can save friendships, can help you to live your life better, can help you understand people better if only you read it. I will stating 5 laws only from this book, and you can read the book to know more because there are a whole lot of laws, and even the ones that I will be stating, I will just be saying them briefly. The book is actually a big book. I just want to spur you up so you go on to read the book. The first law I'll talk about is the law of irrationality, and if I'm correct, this is even the first law in the book. Now, we like to think we are logical, but the truth is we are driven by emotions. So we let our emotions dictate to us what we do per time. Now, when you understand this both in yourself and others, you will stop reacting and start responding. Most of the times we do see things through the lens of manipulations, anger, and impulse, and that's not really the best. So we do make judgments that are not supposed to be what we would make. Why? Because we were driven to act based on how we felt per time. Now, this book is actually going to be the game changer for you, and it can actually help you because many people are defaulting in this particular thing, and it's costing them a lot already. In the book, there was an instance that was made, and then it was expressed as though a horse rider riding a horse. As far as I can tell, I don't think I've been on a horse before, but then for those that have been on, and for those that know how to ride the horse, they can tell you that you need to be skillful. Now, imagine climbing a horse and then letting the horse to move freely without controlling it. The horse will just move wherever it wants to go, right? Now, that's what we feel like when we act irrationally or when we act based on emotions. But what we are supposed to do is this: when you're on the horse, you're supposed to hold the horse and guide the horse. So holding the horse and guiding the horse is now we acting rationally. Now, it's important for you to understand this particular stuff, and it's important for you to know when to use it, because there are moments whereby you are supposed to just let the horse move freely. That is, you're supposed to just let the horse move and then you move irrationally. So you need to know when to apply rationality and irrationality in your decision making. This can be the game changer. Like I said, read the book. When you read the book, you'll find more about this particular thing that I said, or other things also. The next law I'll talk about is the law of grandiosity. Now, we all have the special need to feel rewarded, to be praised, to get admired, to feel important and all. But when all of these things are actually being unchecked, this can actually lead to serious ego, and that ego can cost us lots of things. Now, many people actually end up being egocentric, not because they wanted to be, and then they end up having high egos just because they were unable to manage this particular stuff, and then the grandiosity grew up to become something else. Some of them, it could be from when they were little or any part in their life, right? But then right now they have a strong ego that is now bigger than them and is now consuming them. Now you could actually understand to manage your stuff, because these are things that everybody actually wants. Everybody loves to be praised, right? One way or another, I believe everybody has the sense that they want to feel special. But then there's a way you're supposed to guide it so that it doesn't keep you unchecked. If you want to understand more about this, you need to read this book. So what I'm saying is very, very simple. You keep your ambition away from arrogance. Now, when you're doing that, that's when you will now be controlling this particular ego of yours. The next law I'll talk about is the law of aggression. Now, I see this as one of my favorite laws. I think the reason why I see this as one of my favorite is because it's about the story of John D. Rockefeller. That is the first world billionaire, I mean in dollars. Yeah, so John D. Rockefeller actually understood this principle, and then he actually obeyed the principle of aggression. Like, he understood the laws of aggression very, very well, and he used it to his own advantage. Now, human beings have aggressive tendencies. It's natural. Every human being has aggressive tendencies. But then the thing there is that you need to know how to channel this particular stuff to productivity. Now, Rockefeller was able to actually understand this and harness it Trust me, however I say it, I don't think I would say it as nice as it will be when you read the book. So we all have this drive that comes to us when we are doing things, right? When you're having this particular drive, you're supposed to use it to create, not to destroy. Now, what Rockefeller was able to do was that he was able to understand how others get aggressive, and then he was able to get them to the point whereby it moved in his own favor, right? But then the funny part there is that he understood how others got aggressive. But from, if I can recall, there were no records or so of him being aggressive. That's some people that were close to him. So you could see him as somebody that is cool, calm, and collected, but he was able to know how to trigger other people. And he used this particular method to, to become the first world billionaire. Now, how do you apply this? You need to understand this particular principle. So you understand when somebody is trying to trigger you, and so you understand how you can also use it in your favor. These principles are very, very delicate, and you need to be very, very careful when you are using these principles so you don't end up becoming a manipulator, because you could easily mistake these things and then end up becoming a manipulator. Please take note of this. That's why it's important for you to go and read the book. Don't just follow the words I'm saying here as finite. Go and read the book so that you would have a deeper knowledge. Aside from that, you can also read other books too, so you understand more on how humans act. As a matter of fact, this may not just be to you. You may not be learning it to use it, but then you need to actually take caution, because somebody may want to use it on you also, so you understand where they are coming from. So be careful, because people can actually trigger your aggressive nature. The next law is the law of defensiveness. The next law is the law of defensiveness. Now, when people feel attacked, right, they tend to turn up a defensive nature, and they tend to shut down, not give you the attention, or not give you what you want. You need to actually understand how everybody acts, and you need to understand how to be empathetic with everybody in every given time. Knowing this particular thing will actually help you gain favor from others. One of the reasons why I love Robert Greene is that in each of his laws, if I'm correct, he gives a story to back it up. So when you read this, you actually see a great story of somebody who actually understood how to use the law of defensiveness, and then he was able to understand this particular principle, and because of that, he was able to rise to the top very, very fast in his field, right? He rose faster than others, and then it was more or less like a surprise also, if I can recall. But then, it was actually, let me say, calculated. Why? Because he did his homework very, very well. So you need to understand this. If you are moving in a political circle, or if you are moving in a business world, if you are trying to gain favor in your relationships and all, you need to understand this particular principle. It will actually help you to literally become better, right? Because you understand how people act. Well, you can actually learn these skills too, and probably use it to manipulate others, but the aim is not for you to manipulate others. Let me just say so. I feel like the aim of this particular stuff is for you to understand them, because not to cheat others here. The aim of these particular principles is for you to understand them and know how to act and live better. Also, for you to understand when somebody is trying to act similarly to you. The last law I'll talk about is the law of death denial. Now, this law is a law that is deep. Personally, when I was reading this book, let me say to some extent, I think I was having a bit of fear, reading this particular chapter, because, death denial, what is it talking about and all that. But then, it's a particular chapter that I feel everybody should read. It's something that we all need to embrace. Now, most people avoid thinking about mortality, but facing it gives life urgency and purpose. Now, most people avoid thinking about mortality, but facing it gives life urgency and purpose. Now, when you accept that time is limited, you start living with urgency and purpose, not just fearfully. Many people try to actually avoid this particular thing. If I can recall, this story is either in the book or probably I heard it somewhere. Somebody actually received an information, from the doctors, if I can recall, that he was going to die in a particular time. Because of that, he realized that he had not achieved some particular things, and then he tried to fasten his space to do them, so he will meet up with his deadline before he dies, because he wanted to leave a legacy or stuff like that. If I can recall the story very well, he did all of this, and at the end of everything, he found out that he wasn't going to die, right? But then the thing is that he has already achieved some of the things. Now, the energy you use to achieve some things, when you know that you are counting your days one by one to live on earth, right? It used to be different from the one that you have when you feel like you're just living. When you feel like you're just living at times, I believe that brings in the room for more and more procrastination. Each time you wake up, just know that you are reducing one day from the number of days you have to live on earth. Doing this will actually give you an urgency, so you will get up and write that book. So you will get up and tell that person sorry. So you will get up and make this particular thing right. So you will get up and read that particular course and study that particular thing. So you will get up and sing that song that you want to sing. So it's very, very much important for us to understand this. Now, these are some laws from the book Laws of Human Nature. There are a whole lot of laws that I could actually talk about. There's a law of narcissism, there are lots of laws that are so important for us to just read. The book is very big. I can't summarize it in some minutes, but all what I want to do is just to spur you so you'll be able to go and read the book and understand more about it yourself. This is my advice for you. Take it and please don't leave it. If you found this video exciting, do well to like, share, comment and subscribe so it meets more people.